show. Always Irish show. Always Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome back to Friday at Augusta, folks. Happy to be here. Happy to be with you. We got a little golf chat going on right up my alley. I like this. Talking about some old golfers, some current golfers. I have a lot of golf thoughts. The sport's not in a healthy place. And so that's going on. We got spring ball. We're rounding into form for blue and gold next week. I want to know what you think about that. Cookie Fruit, what's going on? Happy to have you guys here. Happy to be here with you. Thanks for spending your Friday morning here. Oh, man. There's a lot on people's minds. We're in a weird place in time, and we're like doing the spring football thing, but people are looking forward. There's a little frustration with Notre Dame spring. They've gotten a lot of things accomplished, but a lot of big things not quite. And so it's really interesting to kind of take in the way everybody's looking at this and processing it, and the way the media is processing it. You know, I looked yesterday at one of the popular websites that kind of pulls all the Notre Dame articles, and you can find them in one place or whatever. And, you know, Riley's kind of banged up and all that. And you got articles pumping up Angeli. You got articles pumping up Minchie. You got articles pumping up Carr. Yeah, there's just a lot of moving parts here. Notre Dame's been able to accomplish a lot of things, but not some of the biggest things that were on the list this spring. And that's making people nervous, and I understand it. Just a reminder, come party with us next week. Let's go. You don't have any excuses. We got the blue and gold game, and then you got nothing but the dog days of summer. And if you're me, watching awful Major League Baseball, you got nothing. It's your last shot. Come drink some beers for breakfast, everybody. That's my line, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you for being here. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe. If you haven't yet, I appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. You know why? Because it helps. It helps Yanni boy in the algorithm. Notifications on that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. I certainly don't blame you. To call in, lads. 312-988-15. You dialed up. Tell Uncle Yanni all you've heard and seen. Instagram, Facebook, Always Irish Inc. USA Today, Irish Wire. Read all about it. Patreon.com/Always Irish. Former captain, leading tackler Mike Goolsby, and myself breaking it all down. You know what to do. You go to ndsubwayalumni.com. Get yourself a looski. If you have 3 friends, I don't know if everybody does. If you have 3 friends, you pour 4 shots. Boom. Take that looski. Get yourself a t-shirt. Good people over there. Good people over there. That's the only ones I work with. So go check them out. Come on, Commander. John seems to be in high spirits. I challenge anyone to call in and awaken the rage within. You can call in, but you don't have to spark the rage. Can't we just talk about stuff? Rip Jules, John is psyched for 420 and the blue and gold game as well. I'm telling you. You could say that I'm immature. Like, I don't really care what you want to say. It's never not going to be funny to me that the blue and gold game's on 420. It's just not. If ever there was an appropriate, like, situation where people would need to do something to relax them, doing anything with Notre Dame football the last 30 years would definitely be on the list. It's hilarious to me. Oh, it's hilarious to me. See ya, Pat. Yep, I know Pat's prepared for a long Masters week. I mean, I just, the 420 thing's funny. It's just like, what do you need? What do you need to survive Notre Dame football with your sanity? We need Snoop at halftime of the blue and gold game out there. Like, if we're doing this, let's really do it. Get Snoop out there, walking on the 50-yard line. Like, if we're doing it, let's do it. Lean into it. It's just, from the second I saw that, I'm like, man, this is hilarious. It just works perfect. It works perfect. So here's the deal. There are some chats that I want to go over. I'm telling you, it's getting kind of weird because a lot of the things that are rattling around in my brain end up Chief Keith Kennedy. That's a good one. Yeah, we look similar too. A lot of times where I have these things in my mind, or I drop a teaser with the bullet points of like what I'm trying to go over today or whatever. And then by the time I log in to set everything up for the show, you guys are commenting and you're nailing a bunch of the stuff that's on my mind, or a bunch of the stuff that I wanted to get to, or that I'm worried about. It's just weird. So I don't know if some of that is just that you guys are on the same wavelength as me with a lot of stuff because we're all in this together. And if you watch my show, then you probably like think somewhat similarly to me with Notre Dame items. I don't know. But I want to go over some of these and then we'll get into a couple things. I want to know, and some of you have commented on this already. I want to know what you think about, I saw people reacting to my Denbrock episode yesterday when Minchie put out the quote. They're like, what's the big difference going to be this year? And he's like, well, actually, the quarterback might be able to like put us in good plays and get us out of bad plays at the line of scrimmage. And having that flexibility is really going to be awesome. Like, we knew you didn't need Minchie to say that the quarterbacks didn't have like the ability to check out of plays and in and out of stuff and move things around and do all that. Like, if you saw Notre Dame's offense last year, you knew there was like an issue, but it's just seeing it spoken so directly hits me different. Just seeing it spoken so directly hits me different because it blows my mind that Notre Dame operated a full year and didn't give the quarterback flexibility and the trust to get us in and out of plays that could be more successful. I just don't understand it. And I understand a scenario where, say you're starting CJ Carr and he's a true freshman right out of high school, whatever. I totally understand wanting to limit CJ Carr's flexibility as a true freshman to have to make a bunch of reads, check in and out of stuff and all that, right? Like I just think as a freshman, I understand that. But when you have Sam Hartman and he's the most experienced quarterback in all of America, how do you not trust that guy who has more experience than any college football quarterback playing, what was his 5th or 6th year? How do you not trust that guy to get up at the line and go, oh boy, we're trying to run it right into a wall here, and I don't like that. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let your guy, why would you not Tommy didn't allow checks. Why? Somebody answer that for me. Why? Like, I don't understand the concept. Oh, we're Notre Dame. We have all these smart guys. We have smart players, all this stuff, whatever. You don't trust these guys to get up there and be like, we're going to run a run play right into a brick wall. They have 9 guys within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, and we're just going to run it into that wall and hope it works. And you don't give them flexibility to like be able to logically see we're running into a wall. We need to do something else. I don't know, man. I don't know. They check to the sidelines with Reese. Yeah, that look over. So that's a little different than, dude, I just don't. Because Marcus had PTSD trusting Buckner and Pine. I just don't. It's just rough. All right, let's see. There's a couple chats. People are asking me questions. I'm taking some heat on some things. Let's see what we have. Oh, man. Jeez. All right, let's do some of these chats because some of them were really good. And then we'll get into this. I got some surprising. I got one thing that's kind of going to surprise people on the list today. I'm going to be sure to get to. Commander Luke, good morning, John. How about the new linebacker coach, Max? What's your thoughts on that guy? Do you like the intensity he brings? And do we need more coaches like that? Or do we prefer the passive Freeman approach? I like Commander, you're thinking. I don't know what happened to you after that surgery or in that surgery or what they worked on or whatever, but you've been a different person since you've emerged from your anesthesia. So I don't know if it's one of those like, hey, this is a situation that made me appreciate being around. I'm going to be a little like more kind on the internet or what? Because you've been really nice ever since that day you said you were going into surgery, making me wonder what's going on, buddy. But I'm glad to have you. But I like what you did here. You tried to trap me in a pleasant way, Commander. You're bright. You're bright. So I'm going to say that I love the intensity shown by Max. And I saw that. It was a practice video last week of him with some pads. Bro, he's running full speed into those guys with the pad, and he's jumping over here and hitting guys and getting all fired up. From knowing me over the years, that I'm going to love that. And I'm going to say I'm going to love that, and I'm always going to love that. As far as Freeman's passive approach, tell me if you guys are feeling this too. I still feel like a part of Marcus Freeman is still on the journey of not quite knowing exactly what demeanor he wants to present all the time as Notre Dame's head coach. Sometimes I just feel him internally kind of debating with himself what that presentation should be. And I've seen cases where he gets really fired up in practice. That one video last year, I don't think he knew the cameras were rolling. He got really fired up, a whole bunch of F-bombs, like, let's go and get to work and all that stuff. So the other thing is, I wonder if there is more of that intensity, that intense side of Freeman, but maybe it's just not the version we see all the time as the good steward all put together with his outfit and his hair on, doing these interviews, whatever, watching his P's and Q's. So like, I wonder what that is behind the scenes. I love that one video of Freeman going nuts and yelling and cursing and all. That's right up, me, that's right up my alley. I loved it. So I don't know. And so, I just feel like that's like a journey Freeman's got to go on to find that level that he's comfortable with. Also, speaking of the golf, you guys, who was it? Big Game Boomer, whatever the Twitter account that does all the teams and ranks everything. They put out who's the best golfing coaches in college football. Brian Kelly was number 1. You don't want that. You don't want that. For the 50th time, if your head coach is the best golfing head coach while he's coaching, you got a problem. Golf requires too much maintenance that it would bother me. I don't like that. You want your coach to be good at golf after he's done coaching for you, not during. Also, there's no way Brian Kelly's a good golfer. They put him number one because he golfs instead of recruits at Notre Dame or whatever. There's no way. I look at it. I look at the swing. There's no way he's good at golf. So he's number one probably because he plays the most. There's no way. That ain't that ain't a body and that ain't a swing that could play good golf. No, it ain't. So whatever. Look at this. Philly special. His wife always brings a handle of liquor to everything we do, and I love them for that. Morning. After seeing what Mitchie said about the offense, it confirmed what we already knew about Parker. The offense was so predictable. Was he that horrible or did not trust Hartman? A little bit of both. Parker had some insecurity, you guys. He was trying to find his way. He was a little overwhelmed. Like you just felt that. You just felt that. I felt that at least. Maybe you didn't, but I did. You guys, come on, man. I'm not an X's and O's guy. I've never acted like I was. I don't tell you guys, come here and I'm going to break down all these complicated schemes and one guy took one wrong. I'm not that guy. That's how you know how bad it is when you don't have to be an X's and O's knowledge guy to look at the way Notre Dame's running things and go, yeah, this just isn't going to work. It's not creative. It's predictable. There's nothing tricky to defend here. Like a lot of times it's just a numbers game, you guys. You want to run a run play right into a brick wall and they have 9 guys within 3 yards in the line of scrimmage. That's probably a bad idea. There were way too many times where not only did everybody on the other team in the defense know what Notre Dame was running, everyone watching on TV also knew because it was just super predictable. God bless Troy. Seriously, God bless Troy. I don't even begin to act like I understand what they wanted and saw. Okay. It's a big blessing and I'm happy for him. And it was a way to be able to transition out of Parker into something else without humiliating him or his reputation. To me, it's like you got fired by getting a demotion, a promotion almost, right? Man, I don't know. It's rough. Here's another interesting one from the commander. Phil, what accountability does Freeman have for the offensive scheme? At the very least, Freeman agreed to the restrictions on the QB, right? When I've brought this up about Freeman's involvement with offensive scheming and whatnot, some people have intimated to me, to a large extent, Freeman's like, I'm a defensive guy. I'm going to trust my offensive staff, Gino, and whatever to put things together. But I don't know where that overlap is. As far as like, if Freeman's like, okay, we're entering this game. Here are my priorities, blah, 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 blah. Here's what I want to do. Like, I don't know the full extent of that. And then also, if Freeman's more of I'm going to let my offensive coaches do what they're going to do, hands-off type guy. That works a lot better now with Denbrock. That Denbrock-Gino combination, I trust that a lot more if we're going to do the hands-off, let these guys cook thing, because I'm a defensive guy. I mean, I understand that. Here we go. There's some of the old commander back. And we know Freeman had ultimate say over the offense at the end of the day. Free pass never ends, and nobody holds Freeman accountable for multiple coaching blunders. Here's my question to you, Commander, and it's the same question I've had when these questions come up. What kind of accountability do you demand? It's an honest question. I'm not trolling you. I'm not trying to whatever. I'm asking an honest to God question. Nobody ever holds Freeman accountable for coaching blunders. What does accountability look like to you in that situation? Because to me, like, if you want accountability, I don't know what to say other than, yeah, there were some coaching mistakes last year that hurt us really bad. Excuse me. And you can't have any of those anymore. And it's unacceptable. And the margin between winning and losing in college football, especially if you're Notre Dame, isn't that great. You can't have any self-inflicted wounds that go against your goals and your cause. But like, that's a real question I have is, what does accountability look like? Is me yelling about it, saying it's got to get better accountability? Like, I don't know what you want to happen. Me saying, Marcus, you got to clean it up. No more misuse of the clock at the end of a half or whatever. Misdoing when to take a kneel down, when to dirt the ball, when to use your timeouts. Having 11 guys on the field for the most important plays that have happened since push at Notre Dame Stadium. Yeah, not great, Bob. Not great at all. Got to get better. Got to get cleaned up. But outside of me saying that and everybody else saying it, what do you want accountability to be? If your version of accountability is this guy made those mistakes in year 2, fire him and bring somebody else in here, I'm not with you. I'm not with you. The only accountability I can really think of is saying that's not good and you got to clean it up. I don't know what else to give you. Bro, I don't know what else to give you as far as the accountability, man. I don't. I really don't. But I have been told Freeman does give the offensive staff a lot of leeway to be able to do their offensive thing. And he's not like hovering over their shoulder. He's not a natural offensive guy. So sure, he has some opinions. Sure, like the overall big picture structures, things that he's going to have a thought on in a direction he wants to go. But I think he's more hands off with that offense. And he's probably going to be more so that way with Denbrock now. I don't know. Johnny's going to have a lot of explaining to do today. About what? What are you acting like I exposed myself on? I don't get it. Ooh, this is a good question I want to ask the group. You could call it in, you could put it in the chat box, whatever it is. Rivalries go. Notre Dame doesn't have a true rival. USC's rivals UCLA, Navy's is Army, maybe Stanford, but we don't play them enough, so there's that. Well, we play them every year. But like, I struggle with this situation. Here's my question. There was all this debate on Twitter a few days ago, earlier in the week, about Notre Dame's hated write in a school name, and then they'd be like, that's not even a rival, or like whatever. So my question is, how do you define a rival when it applies to Notre Dame football? Serious question. I have trouble answering it. We got to define some of these terms. I need the definitions. How do you define a rival? Do you have to play them every year? How do you define that? I would like to know. So that's a struggle whenever you go down that path. Notre Dame's got a bunch of these teams. Think about the feelings we have for Michigan, and we don't play them that often in the big picture. Can they be like a heated rival when you don't play them that often, or what? I want your definitions, because if we're going to have that discussion, then I got to know how you're defining the terms. It's a good one, Andrew. John, you seem pretty optimistic due to Denbrock. I can't match your enthusiasm because of Leonard. I need to see him healthy. And Jelly or Minchie can win, but they need good line play. The line is key. The line is definitely key. Nobody could doubt that. Andrew, my reaction to this is, I just think no matter what goes on, you're going to be in a better position. No matter what situations arise, no matter what you're dealing with, whatever, whether it's pre-game planning, like putting together a plan to face a certain opponent, like whatever it is, I just feel like you're going to be better equipped to handle it now, better equipped to come up with, like, that's how I look at this, Andrew. Whatever that offensive situation is going to be, like, whatever problems emerge, whatever challenges there are, in game, before game, whatever, I feel like you're going to be in a better position to have a plan that could get us where we need to go. Now, I can't measure, oh, well, Denbrock's here. So how many more points a game do we average? And what does that do to the win-loss record? Like, what is, I struggle with that too. I don't know how to weight. How much those values are worth. I just feel like Notre Dame's, the plans are going to be better. The pivots are going to be better. This is a higher level of offensive process. So I just think whatever the situation is, whoever the quarterback is, you're going to be in a better position, whether it's Riley Leonard's hurt and one of the other guys, whatever. I just think whatever the situation is, you're going to end up in a better spot because you have a more capable guy thinking at a higher football level, putting it all together. And I like that. That gives me comfort. It just does. Yeah, Bob, you're talking about Louisville and not being able to change out of the play. What a nightmare, Louisville. What a nightmare. Mark's getting the cheap chicken salad on a honey wheat here, whatever they're getting. We're talking about our master's menu. Very affordable. All you got to do is, sell your house to get in. And then you could get a beer really affordable. Johnny has lots to explain today. I don't think so. I don't know what you're talking about. Did I? Bro. What did I say that exposed myself? I don't understand. I put myself out on a lot of other ledges than I did yesterday by saying Denbrock knows offense better than Parker. What did I say that's got me on trial today? Huh? I don't understand. What am I on trial? What did I say that exposed myself? I don't get it. What am I defending? What? I must have missed something. Oh, Andrew. Does Indy add one more corner via the portal? What if Morrison's not back from the opener? A freshman will be. Listen, when that Riley Leonard situation, we got a couple phone calls. I'll get to them soon, almost through the chats. When the news came out about Riley Leonard's re-injury, and he was scooting around town doing tricks on his scooter, going off ramps, off the goog or whatever he was doing that wasn't football. You also had the news about Morrison. And then I do my digging and my looking to the people that I talk to, and they're going, I realize the quarterback's the one everybody's talking about. You need to be worried about Morrison being back for camp is a bigger issue. That's what I was told, is behind closed doors, there's just a little anxiety and worries. I don't know if they were not expecting whatever it is, but that Morrison run. Tricky, and I don't love it at all. Okay. Andrew Gilmore, one master's note. Tiger seems healthy. Let's see if his body holds up for 25 plus holes. Yeah, it's going to be a long day for Tiger. The warming up, he's up at 2-3 in the morning to get loosened up and go do the massage and stretching and all that. And it's going to be a really long, tough day for Tiger. You got to finish 5 holes, warm up, finish 5 holes. Then you got to cool down. Then you got to start your routine back up. It's going to be a really long day for Tiger. And again, a lot of people don't acknowledge this. For Tiger specifically, with his specific injury history, It isn't just about him being able to swing in it, not hurting. It's the journey. It is the walking of the miles up and down those hills at Augusta, the torquing of the. He's got a lot going on. It's a struggle. There's a reason the guy plays in like 2 events a year, man. It's rough. You want to say like it's almost like his body's been through a car crash. It literally has. It literally has. But yeah, the whole Masters thing has a different feel when Tiger's involved. And Jack Nicklaus won the Masters, his 6th, by the way, number 1 all time, 6 Masters for Jack at 46 years old with 11 years in between his last major victory. Augusta is a place where those older guys, if they have a great week, they could do something magical because Augusta's Augusta. If you know where to put it, you know where to put it. If you know where you can't put it, you know where you can't. Like the guys that know Augusta, it's in your DNA, it's in your soul. You know exactly where you want to put every single shot. And you know every putt. Like, so yeah, but it's Tiger's, there's a lot of mileage there, man. There's a lot of mileage. Oh boy. What is this? That's the other thing with Riley Leonard, you guys. When you're looking at Duke, offensive line not good, not a lot of good wide receivers. He had to do more. Isn't that the hope that Riley Leonard would come here and not have to do as much? He doesn't have to be the entire offense. Maybe that better enables Notre Dame to insulate him from taking a lot of hits because unlike at Duke, he's got some other guys that could run around to do some offensive things. It's not just him wheeling and dealing and running around. Listen, it's not ideal. This spring's not ideal, you guys. Like, let's not BS. This spring's not ideal. One of the biggest items on the board of what Notre Dame had to accomplish and wanted to accomplish this spring was getting Riley Leonard in this offense all kind of, let's start gelling, let's get some rhythm, let's build this together, and you're not able to do that. It was the number one thing you had to do. I would argue that's the number one thing you kind of had to do. It wasn't figuring out if you could have a good defense. We already know that. We're refining that thing to get some cherries on top. Icing on the proverbial master's cake. You feel me? The biggest mission really to me on this spring was getting this offense going and getting this offense. Whatever the new collective offensive vision is, the mission of the spring was to get that as far as it could go down the developmental gelling road so that August could be as a jump in the kind of the deep end and let's go and refine this thing. You're not able to do that. You're not able to do it. You're not able to. I'm sorry. Him out there limping around and doing tricks on a scooter, bro, that's not implementing the offense, okay? It's just not ideal. Now, what this does is, there's a lot of pressure on Notre Dame in August. Oh, baby. Like, are you following me? That's where I'm at with this. This is a lot. There's going to be a lot of pressure put on this team in August because you got to make up for lost time. You got to make up for lost time. You have like 3.5 weeks to get Riley Leonard, if he comes in healthy in August, up to par. Gelling with everybody. It's going to be a time crunch. It just is. And I'm also not exactly clear. Is everyone assuming, write it in the chat, call me, whatever. Is everyone assuming that if Riley Leonard comes back healthy the beginning of August, the first week of August, that he's going to be quarterback 1? Like when they line up to take snaps, the first summer practice in the heat of August, if Leonard's healthy, is he the number 1? That's my question. I don't know. If he's healthy, you could argue, yeah, why wouldn't he be number 1 if he's healthy? That was the plan why they brought him in here from Duke to be the number 1 guy anyways, blah, 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 blah. But if you also told me Johnny wasn't out there all spring. I got to put the number one guy as one of the guys that was running with the team the whole thing, and then make Riley Leonard beat them out because I have an obligation to the guy that was available. I don't know. I've seen people talk about that's the right thing to do, to honor the guys that actually played. Injury's injury. Injury's opportunity for somebody else. I don't know, man. This makes me laugh. Tiger needs to go. He's old and washed up. He's yesterday's news. He's gone. He plays 2 events a year. Tiger's gone. Like, this is him being gone. Like, that's the thing. Tiger plays like 2 events a year. This is him being gone. Like, that's what this looks like. This is him being gone. Also, many people may not realize this unless you're a golf person. If you win the Masters ever, you have an automatic invitation to play for the rest of your life every year until you decide not to or pass away. That's one of the neat things about the Masters. If you win it, you get invited back every year for life as long as you want to play. That's how you end up with guys like, that's how you end up with like Freddie Cup out there at 70 years old and Ian Woosnam and stuff. And that's one of the key features. That the Bernard Longer was out there almost 70 years old. He got injured. Like, that's the cool thing about Augusta is you could get some of those old guys. Like Crenshaw was a big deal for his final Masters a few years ago. They get invited back for life. And so some of those guys don't expect to win, but they're going to go play at Augusta because they've earned it for life. So you say he's got to go. He's gone. He plays 2 events a year, and this is one of them. He is gone. Telling you, golf lost momentum with the division. Golf lost the momentum with the division between the 2 leagues, and they're all making it's a debate of which millionaire is the most millionaire. And then you have all these tournaments where the guys winning, nobody even knows who they are. And that's bad for ratings because nobody knows who these people are. There's no story. You don't have all the best guys playing in every event. Golf is not in a healthy place. For the players, it is because they're making more money than ever. But for the fan and the state of the game, it ain't an healthy place. It ain't. Tiger hanging on to golf like Johnny with ping pong, trying to relive the glory years. Yeah, I know, man. Actually, those were the glory years for me, man. 20 years old, sweating, just banging balls, just backhanding people. Oh, I used to play for hours. I would post up in the main floor of the dorm where they had a ping pong table, and I'd just post up and everybody walk by. Anybody wanted to play, let's play. And you run the table till you lose, and people would just walk by and want to play. Oh, it was so much fun. Oh, it was so much fun. Father Time. These old golf fans need to let go of their Tiger fantasies. Father Time is undefeated. Jack, they buried Jack. Entering 86, they said he's a has-been, he's old, he's won this tournament 5 times, but he's past his prime. It could never happen. Augusta's that kind of place, man. If you get hot, you get hot. They had Jack done, and he got that 6 jacket. 46 years old and won it. John, can you address where you stand on Leonard? A lot of haters. Leonard single-handedly had ND on the ropes last year. If Elko goes for it on 4th to 4 and runs Leonard, they probably beat Notre Dame. You're right about that. Where I stand on Leonard is anxiety. And I think there would be a little bit, even if he was healthy, because he's not a finished, polished quarterback product. There's a lot more anxiety now because I just don't trust the quarterback situation because of the injuries. I don't know what I could trust. And it's not fair to be like, oh, Riley Leonard has had this issue. He's going to be out all next year with injury. No, But when you have a couple of those problems, like right when you come to Notre Dame, it's hard for people to have confidence that when they're actually banging next year, you're going to make it all through the year. So he wasn't a finished product to begin with. And then there's no development now, him personally or with the team, enough like real development. Scooting around in a brace is not what I'm talking about. So I have some anxiety. Obviously, I have some anxiety there, but I also could see a lot of upside if things go the right way and they use him the right way, and you have some other weapons and the line holds up and he has that big body, and you're smart about picking and choosing when you want to run him. Then I see that being like not a bad scenario. Not a bad scenario. But I am kind of anxious. How could you not be anxious? You don't even know if he's going to be healthy. So that Duke game was ugly, you guys. Predictably ugly, by the way. Predictably ugly, just based on what Notre Dame had gone through. Predictably ugly. Ian, are ND coaches planning positive stories about Snead so he doesn't transfer? He's still listed as the dreaded third linebacker. Ask Kaiser how it is to be the third linebacker. You barely see the field. That is true. I have seen a lot of articles and blogs and notes saying, oh, yeah, Snead's cranking it up this time, finding a role. Finally, it's it's finally clicked for him and it's all coming together. Like, I've seen a lot of those stories too, but I also wonder how that translates on the field and the actual play. Yeah, I'm wondering about that too. Yeah, the Mitch Evans thing, he's your best. I don't understand anybody entertaining anything other than we need Mitch Evans back as fast as possible. He's your number one most reliable weapon and was the third down go-to at like 98% of the time last year. And even when people doubled him, he caught it anyways. Like even when they shaded coverage over there, like whatever, he caught it anyways on a lot of those third and longs. That's another one where I don't hear a lot of people worried about tight end, but you haven't exactly had a full deck there either. Evans, Reardon, Bauman's whole career has been injury. Like, I don't know what that timetable's like. What is that timetable like on Mitch Evans coming back? It ain't going to be the beginning of the year, is it? Don't like it. Don't like it. This is another good question, Mark, with glasses. And something I don't have a good answer to. The portal opens in 3 days. Here's something that I don't understand. Maybe you guys could help me. I often hear, can't you go in the portal in spring and go find a starting defensive end and go find, whatever, this and that. That's great. And why can't we just go to the portal and get a proven guard? Go do that, whatever. In the spring. Play that out for me. If you're Notre Dame the way we do things, not straight up pay for play, huge blank check, whatever. If you're doing it the way Notre Dame tries to do it, vetting these guys and doing it the right way, whatever. How much do you expect to be able to get in that portal? Like what? Like why would an edge rusher be entering the portal, leaving his school at the end of spring if he's that good? He would either be being the number one guy where he's already at or preparing for the draft in a week, right? So the timing's weird on this version. This timing of the portal part is weird to me because there's usually like some issue with why somebody's leaving at that time in the spring, like Buckner last year. I don't know. I don't know. I just have my thoughts of like, why would you be in the portal in that position if you're not NIL deal opping 1 year to the next then it's usually the spring one is I see the writing on the wall from spring practice and I know I lost my spot to a younger guy. Now I'm mad and I'm out of here. And then I'm going to say, how good is that guy to come to you if he isn't good enough to win the job where he's at? So I don't know. Maybe I'm not thinking of that right, but it's just like that. That's kind of where my mind goes with some of that portal stuff. Read a report. People are saying Minchie's a gunslinger. Thoughts? I don't know. That's what Goolsby says too. Where does he fall in all of these plans, big picture? That's my concern. Where does he fall as you're trying to slot these quarterbacks and develop your plan? And Angeli has the experience edge on him. But I think Minchie's more physically gifted, but Angeli has that experience as the backup, and that's comfortable. It's tedious. It's tedious. And I just wonder how that's all going to shake and at the bottom of it, where it's all going to shake out and where all these guys' mentality is. Do you end up in another situation where somebody going to leave because they know they're not going to play? I don't know. I don't know where these guys' heads are at, you know? Mikey pulls. Good morning, John. Won't be active in the chat. Driving back to Philly from Pittsburgh. And I said, well, for God's sake, focus on the road, not my show. And then he says, your voice will steady my hand and help me focus. Yeah, Mikey, everybody says when they think of John's voice, they think of a calming, steadying presence. Oh, man. What happened to Jordan Spieth? He fell off. A lot of those guys fell off. Justin Thomas is another guy that had his run and then fell off. Jason Day had a run at number one, fell off. Here's the other thing about golf that bugs me. It's not near. These guys are mostly all rich. It no longer matters whether you win or lose. They're all rich. That's a huge difference from 30, 40, 50 years ago, where if you didn't win, you didn't eat. If you didn't make the cut, you were screwed. A lot of those guys 50 years ago, you sell insurance and sell cars in the PGA off season. It changed everything. The influx of money in the game is such that you don't have to win. You don't have to be elite to be a millionaire and live a comfortable life. I think it's affected the game. I don't see the same drive to win that I saw from those guys a long time ago. Seve went out there to ruin you and win. Jack planned his whole year around the 4 majors because that's all that mattered to him in the Ryder Cups. Like, these guys weren't friendly. These guys did their own thing. And then Tiger came and he was the same way. This ain't no buddy system. I'm here to beat you. Now these guys are all buddies. They all grew up together in the little travel youth circuit. They all have these agents. They all have huge deals. Winning no longer is a requirement to make a living in golf. Guys aren't as competitive. They're all buddies and they're just happy to be out there and they're all making a lot of money. So I don't know. Yeah, they want to win, but it isn't what it used to be because it doesn't have to be. You're all rich no matter what. Andrew, I'm a big Jean Van de Velde fan. What a rough. Oh, I'm having flashbacks. What a rough situation. We got a couple calls I need to get to. 618, you're coming up, man. I want to hear what you think about anything we've talked about here. Jason, Tony, what's going on? I'm back from Florida and ready to roll. 1 week till blue and gold. There you go. Mark says, I pay $266 a month for Peacock and I never use it. Well, you will when Notre Dame comes back. John, good to see you. Good to see you, Notre Dame 2164. Deborah, this quarterback competition will be interesting. And then somebody says, quarterback competition? What quarterback competition? Bro, these are the questions I'm asking. These are the questions I'm asking. What does this look like in August? Day one of August camp, man, what does that look like? If all the quarterbacks are healthy, who are you running out there as the number one guy taking the number one snaps? That's what I want to know. I don't know. You can't deny the biggest project of this spring. You didn't get a lot done on. I'm sorry. You had to have Riley Leonard healthy the whole time, building rhythm, running full speed with all these guys. For that to be progressing in my comfort lane, that's not physically possible. August is going to be a little chaotic. I'm just telling you, the staff is going to feel a lot of pressure to get a lot done in August. You got a lot of catching up to do because of what you weren't able to do so far. It's just the way it is. 618, you're coming up, man. I don't think I've talked to you this week. It's about time. One more week and there will be nothing to talk about till August. Oh, we're going to come up with something. We'll come up with something. You know that. Oh. Look at this. No way. No way. Is this for real? You got to be kidding me. U of Troy. No way. U of Troy. Sorry we took your OC. Looking forward to a season filled with running the ball into the strength of the defense. This can't be real. This has to be somebody who changed their name and logo to this just for this discussion because it's amazing. Troy, I don't know who the original Troy is, but thank you. Parker's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. I'm being nice. He's a nice guy. Have fun. Oh, that's hilarious. $5 holler from Homer. T-minus 8 days, John, for you. Who will design and what color will the dress be that Caleb will wear at the draft? Tell you what, Homer. If you really wanted to do it and make a splash, ooh, follow me on this idea. Let's say Caleb Williams is like, screw it. You know, I'm this Hollywood character guy. Like, I'm doing all the nails and the lipstick and everything because I'm this individual personality in LA and everything goes, whatever. You know what you do if you really want to do it the full way? Dennis Rodman wedding dress. Remember when Rodman with the Bulls showed up with the wedding dress and that was a big deal and everything? That's what you do. You bring that, if you really want to do it, you bring it back on like a 25-year loop and you redo the whole scene with the Rodman thing. Here's the difference, though. Rodman was a proven professional entity. That's the difference. He was a proven professional entity at a high level. Caleb Williams is not that. And you're going to get pushback if you blow into the NFL with that much bravado before you've proven anything at the professional level. That's the difference. It's like, well, why was Rodman able to get away? He was a proven winner. He was a proven winner, gave his all out there, and was great. That's different than this. I want Botello and Snead to really step up. Yeah, that would help. They got to find roles. I've heard, almost caught up with the chats. I heard Botello thinned up. They thought he got too bulky, so I saw that he thinned up, and maybe he'll be quicker. Oh, boy. I like our coaches swearing at the press conference on accident. Real football guy. Oh, man. Whoa. Down pat. Indy's winning it all this year. The drought ends in 24. The right coordinators on both sides of the ball, good enough athletes. The level of athletes is getting better. It's a faster team. You know what, you guys? I want to ask you. Go back and watch some of like even Bush push type era Notre Dame football. We look so slow. We look so slow. And then into Kelly too. Even the 2012 team that made it to the BCS championship, we look so slow. Like, I challenge you, literally pull it up on YouTube and watch some of the highlights from those years, like Bush push 05, whatever. Even 2012, Notre Dame looked slow on their feet. All across the board, slow. This team's a lot faster now. They're a lot faster. And I'm here for it. U of Troy. God bless you, John. Can't wait to knock ND out of round 1 in the playoff this year. I get it. Get after it, big dog. Get after it, man. This is the real men of Troy, not that USC stuff. Isn't that what they say too? The men of Troy or whatever. Oh, that's funny. Whoever came up with that Troy thing is pretty great. Oh, boy. Look at this. Florida scout said evaluating Deuce Knight's very difficult. Great athlete with many physical tangibles. Not sure if he'll be a bust, a Heisman, or somewhere in between. Yeah, he's unique. When you're looking at prospects, he's unique. Here's what I'll say. If that is the profile on a guy, I want him working with Mike Denbrock. That makes me feel way more comfortable with all this. If that's the recruit profile we're dealing with in the situation we're in, there's nobody else I'd rather want with his hands on the guy than Denbrock. And then I would trust that he could develop them, whatever. But if that's the scenario, and we have a lot of not athletic development, but quarterback development to do, Mike Denbrock's perfect fit. But I would bend over backwards to give this type of athlete every chance to make it work at Notre Dame. Because if it works even to a decent extent, you're at a different level right away. He is an athletic alien. He's an athletic physical freak. He just is. People are talking about some of the coaching mistakes. Man, I don't know what you want me to say. 618, I'm coming to you. I don't know what you want me to say. You want him to be accountable? I don't know what that means. I'm still waiting for the answer. What does it mean when you say you want Freeman held accountable for his mistakes? Me saying that's not good enough and you got to eliminate those mistakes? I don't know what else you want other than that. You're not firing the guy because of a mistake in year 2. So I don't know what else you want. When you say accountability, what does that mean other than me going, yeah, that can't happen anymore? I don't know what else accountability could be in this situation. So I don't know. It's just frustrating. Okay. 618, what's going on? Happy Friday, man. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, John?
I'm doing really good, man. John? Hey, I'm getting excited to go to Blue and Gold next week, man. See some football, get back to campus. I can't wait.
Yeah, man. I just hoping that this be a great season for Notre Dame, man. I'm ready to get it started, man, and finish up 12-0. Go to the regular season and go make a deep run for the national championship, man.
Hey, let me ask you this, though. Do you have any anxiety about this quarterback situation and all the work that has not been able to be done because of Riley Leonard and all that? And do you feel that puts pressure on them in August when they rejoin, that they have some ground to make up? How do you see that shaking out? Yeah. Do you think, let me put it this way, is Riley Leonard, if he's healthy, your number one when August starts and you just go back to your original plan you wanted with spring, or does he have to earn that spot back from the other guys? Like, how do you see this going?
Man, I think he needs to earn that spot back.
Gotcha. Okay. So then you think that probably means somebody else might start at the 1 and he's got to overtake him in a few
Yeah,
weeks to get to Texas A&M?
I think as of right now, man, it'll probably be Angeli 1A and Minchie 1B, and he'll be right behind Minchie as the third string. And he'll have to earn it back. You have to earn it back. We're not going to be able to see you during the spring game. Especially if these quarterbacks can be on fire, man. Especially if Angeli and Minchie and Carr is on fire. Who do you go? My thing is like this. What if Minchie is looking better? Because we're not hearing a whole lot about Minchie, man. We're only hearing about Carr and Angeli. What if Minchie is out doing them in the spring practice, and then he out play him in the spring game? What do you go with Angeli? Do you go Angeli?
Yeah.
Do you go?
Yeah, it's
Minchie
tricky
as a starter, or do you say no? Angeli got the most experience because he actually started a game against a depleted Oregon State defense.
Yeah. These are the questions that I have. And a lot of it depends on what the health's going to be like when everybody returns in August. I don't know how they're going to set that up. And I don't know how they're viewing it, how they think about it. They could say Riley Leonard was the number 1 guy and he got injured in the spring. Now he's healthy. He's the number 1 guy. And then they try and ramp everything up. But what if Angeli balls out the rest of spring and is beautiful in the blue and gold game, and they want him to get the ones, and then he does well? Do you just run with that? I don't know the answers. I don't know.
What if he don't do that great with the ones? Minchie come out on fire with the guys he got. Do you move Minchie ahead of Angeli, or do you say, hey, Angeli, man, we love you at Notre Dame. You did great for us in the bowl game, but we don't see you ever start as being a full-time starter at Notre Dame. Where do you go?
Yeah, it's complicated. It really is kind of complicated. The plan got messed up. And a big part of this was getting all this going in spring camp, and it's just not been able to physically happen. It's very frustrating. What else is on your mind, man? There's been a lot of talk about this wide receiver group. Are you buying in? Do you really think it's going to be different? And this could be the year where they have some depth and some guys you could rely on? Or are we buying into false hope again, only to be let down? What's the reality?
Man, it's every year that, oh, man, this is going to be the greatest Notre Dame wide receiver corps ever. And then when they get on the field, and they look slow.
Yeah. Yep.
Even though I know that the Chris Mitchell kid, he's fast, and the thing that Notre Dame has really hurt themselves with over the years, they recruited the same type wide receivers.
Yeah,
they never recruited. Okay, Greenhouse, you a slot, you more a possession receiver. This guy, you're the man. You're the guy that when we want a straight line speed and we want to go deep, we're going to you. You're more of the outside possession receiver. They never recruited 3 different types of receivers. They always recruited the same type wide receiver.
Yeah, it's and I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's just kind of where Notre Dame's at when it comes to recruiting wide receivers on the whole. Like, I don't know. I do think they're going to be better this year, man. And they have some better athletes in there, a little deeper. They're going to be better, but I don't know how much better. Like, they're going to be better, but I still don't know if it's going to be enough to get us where we want to go. But they're going to be better. I'm confident in that. And the offensive plan should be better to get them the ball, too. The plan should be better.
They're going to be extremely better than what they was last year because they got 4 different types of wide receivers now. They don't have just that you play this position and I'm gonna recruit 4 more of you.
Yeah.
They don't have that. I mean, you look at the 2 freshmen. I mean, Cam Williams is a different type wide receiver than the other wide receiver, the kid from North Carolina. He's a different type wide receiver than that guy. They're 2 different types of receivers. and they're going to be much faster at the wide receiver position. I mean, bless Rico Flores' heart, man, but he was never going to be the man at Notre Dame, man. I mean, I hate to say it, you know.
Yeah.
He was kind of forced into that position of being the man. But he was never going to be the man, that, especially with this wide receiver core that they got now. He was never going to be the man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And the other thing is the health. Think about it, man. What half of our guys were hurt all year. They're limping around with hamstrings. Jaden Thomas's year basically got ruined because of it. Greatouts' year, he started out great, then his year went downhill after that. Like, can we ever just have like all the bad breaks happen to us? Like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but like, can we get like reasonable health? Would help this situation a lot too.
I'm also hearing that Greyhouse looked the best. He looked the best of all the wide receivers.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that need to tighten up and come together. Andrew Gilmore says, John, my issue is you saying mistakes. They were epic blunders. I mean, that's your semantics that's what I mean when I say mistakes. You think I'm trying to undersell what a big deal Marcus 10-man was? Andrew, you know me better than that. I still lose sleep over that 10-man. I'm not trying to downplay that mistake. Sorry about that, caller. My bad. I got worked up. Caught up in the moment.
No, you okay.
Caught up in the moment, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get emotional too, man. You know, I try not to show it on this show, but, man.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I really looking at that schedule, man. I think I got them going 12-0. The only problem is Notre Dame always have a hiccup game, man. And I don't want that hiccup game to be A&M because then they seem to have against a Navy or Army or anybody have a trip up and lose one of those games.
Yeah, it's really hard to go 12-0. That's the thing when people pick teams to go 12-0, even if you have an easy schedule, it's just mathematically really rare to go 12-0. And again, you're so right, man. Week 1 is a huge deal. Like I'm on the fence of picking Notre Dame like 11-1-ish. The problem is if you blow the week 1, then you got to win 11 games in a row and life gets a lot harder on you. That I do not want to blow Texas A&M up into some bigger deal than it is. But at the end of the day, it's a big damn deal. I can't not act like it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
And the Marcus Freeman teams need to stop playing down to their competition, man. You know, even though last year they did a better job of blowing out the teams that they had to beat up on, the year before they showed that they played down to their competition. They got tripped up and they lost a couple games they shouldn't have lost.
Yeah, I just how do you eliminate that? Man, you're getting everybody's best shot. Everybody's after you. Nobody sleepwalks against you. It's everybody's Super Bowl. You got to be ready for all those moments. Notre Dame cannot afford to have one of them a sleepwalk game or moment, like walking into Louisville and you're half asleep, man, when they're all ready to go. I don't know, but this year's got to be different, and it all starts at A&M, man. You know how this is going to go. If they lose to A&M, everybody's going to be down in energy. There's no excitement. It's going to be really tough to emotionally bounce back from because of how big of a moment it is. You got to win it, man. I'm already mad about it. You got to win it.
And I think they beat A&M no matter who they have a quarterback going into that game. Riley Leonard needs to just sit back, relax, and heal up real quick, man. If they're gonna run with him, man, do something to do something. Save the kid from himself, man. Mm-hmm. Do something to save him from himself. And then I just feel like this year, man, it's gonna be a special year. Not only we're going to win one game in the playoffs, I think we'll win 2 games in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Depending on who you get. And then Notre Dame is in the best position because especially if they can get that number 5 seed, dude, we hosting a playoff game.
Oh, that's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. That's the 11-1. That's the lane here. 11-1 or better gets you that home playoff cold weather hosting in late December at your place. If you go 10-2, if you went 10-2 and made the playoff, you might end up on the road playing somebody really good at their place, and I do not like that. Like Notre Dame's path here, their ramp is you got to end up in one of those seeds that host that first round game at your place.
And before I get off here, I just want to let everybody know, conferences, other team, people that Notre Dame is college football. College football is better when Notre Dame is winning.
Yeah. Yep. It's, man, I just, this has all got to be different. It's all got to look different. It's all got to feel different. Hey, before you leave, let me ask you a question. See what you think. How do you define a Notre Dame rival? It's not easy. I've been fighting with people on Twitter. I don't know how to do it. How do you define Notre Dame's rivals? Do you have to play them every year? Does it have to go back and forth with, like, I don't know how to define a rival. There's a lot of teams that I hate because of Notre Dame reasons that I don't even consider a rival. How do you define that?
Notre Dame has two rivals. That's SC and that's Michigan. The Michigan fans just won the national title, but always got Notre Dame in their mouth.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the USC thing is easy because it's every year. Now, do you think they value Notre Dame more than like playing UCLA? Like, that's my question. Yeah. How did they view that? Like compare our game with the UCLA one.
Notre Dame more than, because look at the history of they've been playing both teams for a million years, and their best shots is thrown at Notre Dame, and they could beat Notre Dame and then trip up to SC every year,
right?
UCLA every year.
Yeah.
It even the years like with Reggie Bush, them they beat Notre Dame, and then they turn around and have a lackluster game against UCLA, but they beat them.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. And then there's all these teams that like I really don't like and I hate, but I'm not going to call them Notre Dame rivals. I just have my reasons that I hate them. I don't know. And we don't play everybody every year. That's another part of it too.
Do we really call Navy our rival?
Right. Like that's one where you play them every year. And then some people even say with the rivalry, there even has to be like an equal back and forth of the power, meaning like a record that's fairly even of like a rival. Us beating Navy most years that we played them, is that a rival, or does a rivalry have to include close win-loss records? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it.
I want to apologize for that. They got three rivals. Miami is the third rival.
There you go. Yeah, and again, a team we don't play a lot, but when they do and it comes up, that there is a lot of intense emotions there, like a lot, and they don't like us and I don't like them. And that's the way it should be, Hey man, enjoy the weekend. You got anything else on the way out?
True rival.
Yeah. And there's no love lost,
man. Like I say, the Miami game, that's a true rival because the Miami fan base hate Notre Dame, and I think that Miami value Notre Dame just as much as they value Florida State of Florida.
Oh,
I just think that's like, that thing that happened in '88. I think that really they still got a lot of bad emotions about that Catholics versus convicts.
Right. Yep. It's it's never that heat is never gonna go away from me, man. Hey, have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself, my friend.
All right, my man.
Take care. Kent, this is the same guy that said Indy was gonna blow out this school, blow out another, and then he went quiet. Hey, he's got a positive outlook, Kent. Don't try and bring us down, bro. See, Andrew Gilmore say Miami's not a rivalry. 4 games since the 80s isn't enough to make that a rivalry. So I don't know. Dr. John says, consider this. Wouldn't it be more positive for the team if Leonard is at his best in summer practice, but gets beat out for the starting job? Yes. Yes. The key to this is you saying at his best. If it was due to injury, physical recovery, or a delay in progress because of injury, that's different. But if we're assuming health and he gets beat out, then yeah, that's better for the team. And the reason it's, you know who it's not better for? The people who paid the NIL money and ponied up to get Leonard's money for a clipboard holder, then it's not going to be ideal for them. But for us, yes. Because, yeah, it would be. Because if you could hitch the wagon to a younger Notre Dame quarterback where there's some development 1 year over the next with some of the teammates, yeah, that's a better deal. But it can't be due to injury. And then I'm going to say, well, that's not the ideal comparison. And the injury is a big reason it happened. But if you're straight up that he's healthy and he gets beat out, yeah, it's a good sign. Yeah, that's a really good sign for anybody other than the people who ponied up that money and wrote that check. Right? We play Navy 150 times. How are they more of a rival than Michigan? Yeah, see, people are debating on what that all means. It's very hard for Notre Dame because you don't play these teams every year. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. Like there are, I don't, it depends how you define the terms. That's why I asked for somebody to try and tell me your definition of rival. Heated rival, hated rival. What is your definition of a rival for Notre Dame? I want to know, for it to be a rival, what's on the checklist? I don't have a good answer. I have no good answer to that, man. Clemson's more of a rivalry than Navy. I don't know how you want to define it. Some people say, how can Michigan even be a rival? You don't play them that often or whatever, but that is the emotions. Ooh, they're heated when you play them guys. So I don't know. Michigan surpassed us when we hired Freeman. They don't think about us. Yeah, dude, if only crying. Jesus. Michigan surpassed us when we hired Freeman. They don't think about us. Crying. Where were you at the last time we played Michigan? Crying Belly was the one who had the team completely intimidated, completely scared, not ready to play, and embarrassed us in front of all of America. Crying. Of all people, Crying Belly is not the one that gets to talk about Notre Dame and Michigan stuff, given what you did the last time we played them. Okay? One of the most embarrassing nights of my life. 19 at the Big House, 17 at Miami. And then basically every bowl game and every playoff game and every big moment for the last 40 years. Louisville 2023 is like Michigan 19. You want to know what the difference is? It wasn't Michigan. Oh, no, it wasn't, because it wasn't Michigan. Losing to Michigan's different. I would rather lose to Louisville 100-0 100 years in a row than lose to Michigan. It's different because it isn't them. That's why it's different. Woo. But you can't lose to Louisville. That's true. You definitely can't lose to Louisville. You definitely can't go in there and sleepwalk and think you could roll the ball out there and win. That's what Notre Dame thought. They prepared and acted like they could roll the ball out there and win because they're Notre Dame. And they completely were unaware You guys, the Louisville thing makes me so upset. It was the most predictable thing of all time. That Louisville moment, that whole thing was the most predictable thing. It was like a landmine sitting there that Notre Dame's bus had to drive right over, and they just acted like it wasn't there. Like, all the warning signs were there, man. You just knew it was a problem. You knew it. You could feel it. And from our end, we were leaking oil and just kind of the energy was low. And on their end, it was let's go beat Notre Dame. You got to match the moment. We didn't match the moment. 773, what's going on? Happy Friday.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
Hey, I'm the guy that threw all those numbers at you about the contracts and this date, this year. And first, let me say this. I want to make one correction. I was looking over the paperwork from the Dallas meetings with the athletic director. Notre Dame's new contract, I got ESPN mixed up with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's new extension starts in 2025. ESPN can walk away from the ACC in 2027, but they have a look-in 2025, meaning ESPN has a look-in, and they have to give the ACC 2 more years if they decide to walk away. So I want to change that up. Notre Dame doesn't, it is 2027. They start their new contract next year. Let me make one comment about Freeman, and as a former player, about Freeman and Parker. As a former player, you got to ease up on those guys. What they were handed was, I've never even seen anything like that. Well, you're not going to get this great offensive coordinator from Utah, so you got the job. What those two were handed, I just shake my head. Like, how did you expect those guys to be successful when you just said, that's like if they came, I played defensive end. That's like if they came to me and said, hey, our offensive guard is hurt. You're going to go from defensive end, and now you're going to play offensive guard. Well, of course I'm going to give up 10 sacks. You're throwing me at a position that I have no training in. Yeah. So I feel bad for Parker. I do. Parker, boy, oh boy, I think, how would I handle that if they just threw the job at something that big?
Listen, I agree with you. Whenever I've tried to talk about this, or I got frustrated last year, one of the main things I've always made sure to say on this show and in my articles is I don't blame Parker for this situation. He was put into that. Like, the job found him. He didn't find the job, if that makes sense, because of the circumstances. Yes. And I don't blame him. I'm not calling him lazy or saying he didn't try hard enough to put together an offense. He was just struggling. You could feel it, man. You could feel him struggling to piece things together, one play to the next, one drive to the next. And it was really frustrating. But it isn't because he didn't try or is dumb or is lazy or anything. It was just he got thrown in the deep end. And Notre Dame was not in a great place all over roster-wise either. And it just kind of combined to make a frustrating deal. And I'm happy for him that if he had to exit, it's kind of a good look and kind of a promotion to a head job. Good for him. But I don't blame him for the situation. He was drowning underwater.
I like the fact that he got an opportunity somewhere after being handed the cars to the key without even taking driver's ed. I mean, that was, I think of guys that I played with, coaches in college that had an opportunity at a DC defensive coordinator job or an OC job, offensive coordinator. And I think that they've had all the preparations for a year. It's their first year. They got to watch film and they weren't any good. And they knew a year ahead of time that they were going to get that job. And they still just didn't have it. For whatever reason, they couldn't move up. They had to stay at a position coach. But the other thing, too, with Freeman is you got to give Freeman a break, too, here. You guys are expecting Freeman to come out there like he's Bo Schembechler and make all the right calls at all the right times. When you're in the middle of a game, John, and this stuff is coming at you, the coaches are in the box, you got 8 guys yelling down at you, do this, switch this. You got the coaches on the sidelines pulling on your elbows. Here's what we need to do. What Freeman took on with no experience really is pretty amazing. Now, you could say he made mistakes. Of course, he's going to make mistakes 8 years from now. Okay, Mario Cristobal, who they considered the next coming out of Oregon, and they had to have him at Miami, had a game last year where all he had to do was take a knee and they won the game. That's all he had to do. There was 48 seconds left. Take a knee and you win the game. He called a handoff. They fumbled the ball. It went back in the other direction. They lost the game. The media said, why did you not just take a knee? Mario said, I lost track of the downs and I didn't want to punt.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well, wait a minute. You see what I'm saying? And this is Mario Cristobal. He's been a head coach for what, 7, 8 years? And look at that mistake.
All right. So then here's the pushback. Whenever I try and go down this road, the pushback I receive is, this is Notre Dame, and this is not the place where you learn on the job with your training wheels and make those mistakes. If you're doing it in Notre Dame, this is not the place you get the leeway to make those errors. That's the pushback I get. But here's my thing is, Notre Dame hired this guy knowing he didn't have experience. And that means they were institutionally willing to sign up for a learning curve and understand that journey with him. Notre Dame was okay with that. And I hope we should be rounding out of that. Like, we're going on year 3. He's not, has no experience anymore. I don't want to have this discussion this year. Like, we just need to tighten it up a little bit. And maybe both those coordinators will help him. Both those coordinators will help him tighten it.
And they will help him because it's here. I'm speaking as a former Big Ten player. Those coordinators are actually more important than the head coach. Those coordinators are actually the offense. A head coach can't put in both the offensive game plan and the defensive game plan. You can't work on both sides of the ball. So you depend on your coordinators to look. You look at your Denbrock, is his name. You look at Denbrock and say, I need you to put together an offensive game plan. And then you look at your defensive coordinator and say, I need you to put together a defensive game plan, because they have more time to watch the film. Freeman doesn't have as much time to sit down, and he can't watch 3 hours of offense every day, then turn around and watch 3 hours of defensive film every day. So your coordinators make the head coach. Now, Freeman, at the end of the day, when they come together with everything and they meet, and Denbrock says to him, here's what I got. Here's where their weaknesses are. This is how I'd like to attack. I'd like to start out with this and this. What do you think? Then Freeman looks at it and says, I like it. Let's go with it. Then the defensive coordinator comes into the meeting and says, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to blitz. Their offensive guards are weak. We're just going to send the linebackers. I like it. Well, and now you can always make adjustments. So even if Freeman says, and then second quarter, you're like, boy, oh boy, they're picking up the linebackers and picking us apart with the running back of the backfield. You can always adjust. And that's what the head coach does. The coordinators build the foundation, and then the head coach signs off on it. So when you see an offensive game plan there, yes, it's the offensive coordinator and Freeman signs off on it, but it's the coordinator who put everything together. And if you have 2 great coordinators, the head coach is going to shine. He's going to look like what's his name down in Alabama.
Yeah,
he's just. But the head coach is just, he signs off on everything. So, and Freeman will get it together. I mean, he'll get it together. Watch how much better he'll be this year. You make your biggest jumps as a player and a coach from year 1 to year 2 and year 2 to year 3. That's when you make your biggest jumps in development as a coach and as a player. Now, let's get to rivalries. Here's how you know you have a rivalry. We had 2 rivalries in college. I don't want to say the college because then you'll know who the athletic director is I talked to. But if you line up 120 guys in a room and you ask them, guys, who's your rivalry? And 120 guys will be able to say that school. So when they go in and ask 100 players, who's your rivalry? Michigan, 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 Michigan. 120 guys, Michigan. And the other way around, Michigan. Who's your rival? Ohio State, Ohio State. That's a rivalry. If you've got guys that are, say, like the Notre Dame players, who's your rival? 10 guys say USC. A couple other guys say Army. Another guy says, well, Miami, kind of, when we used to play them. You see what I'm saying? It's like you don't have a true rivalry. You have a common opponent, opponent that you like to play, like USC, year in and year out. But they have to be your rival. It has to go both ways, like Michigan, Ohio State. If USC is saying UCLA and you're saying USC, well, that's not a rivalry. The other players don't even realize it.
Yeah.
How can that be a rivalry? And now that USC is joining the Big Ten, okay, now Notre Dame's the furthest thing from their mind. I mean, they're looking at Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. And they got to get through those teams to get to the conference championship. The last thing they're thinking about is we have to beat. Now, would they like to beat Notre Dame? Of course they'd like to beat Notre Dame. Just because of the tradition. But they want to play and beat them because of tradition, not because they're rivals.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Hey, I gotta tell you, man, my limited brain power, I'm having a better time processing all of your call this time. I feel better about it. Dude, I just couldn't do the math. I couldn't do the numbers. I couldn't make it work. And I know I'm not good with math. I'm trying to do the numbers and they're bouncing around in my brain. And I'm like, carry the 3. Could you do this? I'm having a lot better time this time. I'm having a lot better time this time under following it.
I have the paperwork in front of me, so it was easier for me to just go down the list and say the SEC gets this, the Big Ten gets this.
Hey, let me ask you.
You're having to figure it out on the run.
Yeah, I got a question for you. I want to know if you saw this. I saw this the other day. I don't know if you're on Twitter or not, but I saw a thread on Twitter talking about there's a rumor that the ACC, that Florida State and Clemson could leave the ACC for the SEC, and the SEC would help pay the exorbitant buyout, but they would only be allowed to do this and go into the SEC because it's under the same ESPN branch. Something with them something with them leaving but having to go to the SEC to keep TV deal alignment. Does any of that make sense to you?
Okay. Yeah, I'll explain. Let me explain one that first, and I'll explain the second part why it's not even going to get to that. If ESPN, it looks like the AC. When I say the ACC, I'm including ESPN. When I say ESPN, they're on the same team with the grant of rights. They're both on the same team. So when I say that, like, oh, they're going to go to ESPN, it means ESPN has a piece, along with CBS, they have a piece of the SEC. There's going to be a point where ESPN senses that they're losing, like down in Leon County in Florida and Pickens County in Clemson and North Carolina, they're going to do okay because the judge is trying to protect the North Carolina schools up there. But where the judge is digging himself a hole is where they say, well, it should be up here and the ACC grant of rights is good. If now North Carolina and North Carolina State can't file because they'll be going against the judge. You just said it was good. Your own school is filing to get out of it. So the judge did North Carolina a hole without even realizing it. But getting back to the ESPN, yes, they have a piece of the SEC, and obviously they have the ACC. What ESPN would probably do, now I haven't talked to anybody from ESPN. I don't know anybody that works at ESPN. But what a smart move would be like, okay, we're losing the grant of rights here. We're not going to get anything. Okay, or we're going to get such a little amount that we lose. There goes all the schools. They're going to, because once Clemson and Florida State win, whoever wants to leave just walks down that same path. They won't even be a troll. They just walk out. But ESPN has got to say to themselves, listen, we want to keep Florida State and Clemson. We're going to lose them in the ACC, but let's just go ahead and say, listen, you don't have to pay us that grant of rights if you join the SEC, where they have the rights to the SEC, or at least part of the rights. CBS has some. So they're still holding on to their geographical area, ESPN. They're still holding on to their rights. They're just sliding them from the ACC to the SEC. What they don't want to happen is for Florida State and Clemson and then eventually North Carolina and Miami, they don't want them to say, no, we're going to the Big Ten. Then they lose it all. They lose the grant of rights. They lose their rights. They don't have any pieces of them in the SEC. But what's going to happen is, and a buddy of mine's following this, he says this thing is all going to end by June 30th. And I said, well, how's that? He goes, there's what's called a composition clause in the contract that if 2 or more teams file to leave by June 30th, the whole thing collapses. Now, you could vote, and people say, well, they needed 6 teams, 8 teams. No, you could vote to get rid of ESPN, but you stay together as a conference. You need 6 or 8 teams, whatever, half. But if 2 teams file to completely leave, we don't want anything to do with ESPN, and we don't want anything to do with the ACC. We want out. You're going to see that Clemson and Florida State are going to file by June 30th. They're going to activate that composition clause. So we're going to get answers. ESPN is going to have to decide. Let's work this out with them before June 30th. Either put them in the SEC, or let's just take whatever money we can get. So it's going to collapse. I mean, whenever you have hard feelings like this, no matter what the legal part is, it's going to collapse.
Yeah.
Because in Florida State, Clemson they're in no mood for this. And ESPN did screw them. I mean, if you look at here, I'll give you an example of what they didn't know. Florida State and Clemson. Every 5 years, ESPN had a look-in clause, meaning they could look at that contract, even though it was for 20 or 25, something ridiculous, 20 years. Every 5 years, ESPN put a look-in clause, and they worked this deal out with the former commissioner. And that look-in clause says every 5 years we could see where we're at, if we're comfortable with the money we're making, if we're and then we'll give you another 5 years look-in. No, so they had 4 look-in clauses the whole time that Florida State and Clemson thought the contract was good till 2036. There were no ifs, ands, or buts. It's good, and they didn't even know any of that stuff. What do you mean? So ESPN has their next look-in clause February of 2025. If they say we're done with the ACC, they have to give them 2 more years. And that's where I got 2027 mixed up with Notre Dame's 2025. They have to give them till 2027 to find a new media partner.
Oh, everything's so complicated, man. I just want to watch good old college football and have it be about the athletes in the game and not all this TV money and everything.
You're right.
Man, it's frustrating.
But this stuff affects that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm interested in it, because it affects that. Here, and I'll give you another example, real quick, of Notre Dame's deal with NBC. You know, it's hard to find this stuff because Notre Dame's not putting it out there. It's leaking out from the other 2 conferences because they have to deal with the playoffs, conference realignment. So the information you get is from another athletic department. Notre Dame has never came out and officially said, I don't think they officially even came out and said that their new contract starts in 25. I don't even know if they came out with that, but it does, 2025, and it goes to 2029. It's a 5-year deal, $50 million a year, but it's on a sliding scale. And here, get this one, and this is how you know that NBC wanted the Big Ten. They want the Big Ten first, and then Notre Dame second. And now, this is my buddy explaining this to me, and if you see this happen, you know my buddy in the athletic department is spot on. What they want to do is every time they play a better school or the Big Ten, the NBC wants to take those games away from the ACC and ESPN, and they would like to control 12 Notre Dame games, not just 6.
Yeah.
They would and part of controlling 12 would be in the Big Ten. But here's the thing with the sliding scale. NBC told Notre Dame, and this is why Notre Dame went out and hired a executive from NBC and not an athletic director, because they've seen this slipping away. I mean, who hires an NBC executive for the athletic department? Why wouldn't you hire Alabama's athletic director or Georgia's athletic director? They got the blueprint. Bring them on in. But they seen it slipping away. They seen that NBC was pushing hard for the Big Ten. So what NBC did was, we're going to put you on a sliding scale. Everything's estimated 50 million. Estimated playoff money, 12 million guaranteed, another 6 million if for a play-in. And then the ACC is just one big question mark. They got 17 million last year. So what they're going to do is they're pushing Notre Dame. They want them to play. They've seen the numbers with Ohio State. And they're like, you know what? We could play 6 Big Tens. Sure, it's not going to be 13 million. But even if they play Iowa and get 5 or 6 million, it's better than 3 million against Wake Forest. So what they're going to do is they're going to put them on Texas A&M, Florida State. That'll be on NBC. Okay, the home games that NBC has, they're going to put on. When they start playing the Miami, Ohio's, and Northern Illinois, and Armies and Navies at home, they're going to move it to, and I don't know a lot about this, but my buddy told me about it. They're going to move it to the Peacock. station. They're going to take them off mainstream NBC, like when they play Northern Illinois, put them on Peacock. And they're going to replace that time slot, NBC, with a Big Ten game, Penn State against Michigan State.
Are you trying to give me an aneurysm? Come on.
No, I'm just telling you.
Oh, my God.
I'm just telling you. This is how much my buddy knows.
Hey.
I mean, I don't even know what Peacock was.
You want to
explain what I go, what's
You want to be out of sight, out of mind. You want to be out of sight, out of mind. You push more of those Notre Dame games onto Peacock. That's a good way to do it.
That's the message they're sending to Notre Dame. I mean, look at Notre Dame is with the ACC, and now NBC has the Big Ten, and they're interested in expansion and all. They have Notre Dame forever. Notre Dame had NBC by the short ones, but now NBC has Notre Dame by the short ones because they could just move you. You're going to play Northern Miami. We're going to move you to Peacock. Well, I said to my athletic director, buddy, I said, how can they? He told me they have already done it. This Peacock thing isn't new this year. Notre Dame had games on Peacock last year. I've never even heard of this. So that's what they're going to use to control the competition so that Notre Dame plays a better schedule. Because, I mean, let's look at it. Northern, Miami, Army, Navy. I don't mean to bring up Cincinnati and Marshall. They're a group of five. And it's hard to bring them up as an example because they won. But they're a group of five. And they always have to televise 4 group of 5 games out of 6. And NBC's like, that's enough. That's enough. We want you to play Ohio State. We want you to play Florida State. We want you to play Clemson. And he even went as far as to say, no, I don't believe this. But if you look at the schedule, he's spot on. He said, go look at the schedule. They also have a amendment in there that says they're not going to play Florida State, Clemson, and Miami in the same year. They'll play Florida or Clemson for 2, and then they'll go play Florida State for 2, and then they'll go play Miami for 2. And I looked at the schedule. I go, he's right. Those 3 teams aren't even on in the same calendar year. And NBC's tired of it.
Yeah.
They've had enough. Will they stay with them? Yes. And by hiring Bavacqua, they made sure that NBC stayed with Notre Dame. But we'll stay with you. Here's what we're going to give you. And it's a sliding scale. You can earn as little as $25 million, or you can earn up to $50 million. Now, getting to the Big Ten, people say, like, well, how are they going to get 5 or 6? They already have 2 Big Tens on there. They have Purdue and USC. Okay, so they're halfway there. They just have to fill the schedule with 3 more Big Ten teams, and then they get to $50 million.
Yeah. Man,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see the fallout. And I'm hoping that Bavacqua, being a TV guy, is better equipped to navigate this. Man, thanks for giving me a call again on a Friday. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Take care, man. Enjoy the golf.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Dude, am I just stupid? I can't follow it. I feel like it's a me problem. Every time that we get into the numbers and I can't keep up, I feel like it's me. Oh, God. Is it the commander? Is this Commander Luke or what?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
John!
What?
Hey, just to wrap up that last call, I think you pissed that guy off at the end, by the way. He said, yeah, we'll see you, buddy.
No, I didn't.
But
he had like 22 minutes. His call was 21 minutes. That's more than fair.
Well, he made a lot of points. I don't really know what they were about, but the point that I'm calling in that I want you to make sense for me is, and I've posted this question on the comment section and different chats and stuff, but it gets avoided. If Freeman determined that the 3 guys on the roster at quarterback didn't give him a chance, or at least the type of chance that he feels the rest of the team gives him,
that he needed to bring in Leonard, which again, Leonard averages less than 160 yards per game passing in college, and he's a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And he reminds me very much of Tyler Buckner. But with that being said, so Freeman says, hey, we need a quarterback. I feel like we got the team. This isn't a building year. This is championship. Bring in Leonard. Okay, we bring him in. He has proven that he is a liability with his health. I don't think anybody believes he's going to start every single game this season. He'll be lucky to make it out of Texas A&M from the defense that I see they got. With that logic, is Freeman being neglectful of his coaching duties if he does not bring in another transfer in the fall as an insurance policy as well as to compete?
Man, that gets to be a full room, doesn't it? Like that's just a lot to navigate and make work. I mean, you got a real full room then. And then also, are you sure that means he doesn't believe in any of those other guys? Like, you could think that they're good but want better. Like, I don't think that he sees the other three guys as like nothing, right?
Well, he must. Somewhere. And at the end of the day, the bottom line, he must feel that way.
And then the other thing is, if you already did this and you pay Riley Leonard that NIL deal, then are you setting yourself up for like another problem? You're going to go find another quarterback. He's probably going to want money. Then you have these competing money deals plus all the other guys in the room. I just think you're making it too big. It's just turning into too big of a cluster with too many things to.
So why
that gets complicated?
Why open that door why open that door in the first place? Why bring in Leonard?
Because they think that Leonard
had injury problems.
Because they think that Leonard has higher ceiling than the other three guys, and that's why. But that doesn't mean there's no value in the other three guys. It just means he thinks that.
But why? Why do they feel that way about Leonard? He's 160 yards less per game passing in college. He's got like 22 touchdowns and 10
Well, I can't answer that.
That's not.
I know you think this.
I'm not blown away by that.
I know you think this, but I promise you, Marcus Freeman isn't sitting on the couch in my basement telling me what he thinks. Like, I don't know. How do I know? They must see something in him.
Well, he don't have to tell you what he thinks for you to see it with your own eyes when he brings in Leonard,
Yeah.
I don't believe Leonard gives Notre Dame any better chance of winning opposed to, Angeli, or let's even say Minchie.
If that, okay.
Seen him play, but everybody.
I'm not sure of that, but if I was sure of that, like if I don't know that or not, but like if I did think it, then I would be upset because I would want one of those younger guys to start because there's already more development there and then they'll be there more than 1 year. Like if I fell on that part of this, then I would want one of those guys because they're going to be around. So I don't know. But they see something in him. Maybe it's his big body and he can run the ball and they like that. I don't know.
He's same height, same weight as Buckner. Okay. Versus Florida State. What did Leonard do in that game? He was 7 of 16 with a pick, and I think he ended up having to leave the game with an injury.
Adam Dowling says Leonard has the highest ceiling we've seen a quarterback in 9 years. How would you respond to that?
DeShone Kizer.
Yeah.
That's how I would respond to that. I mean, he was here. It was in the last 9 years. And at one point, he was anointed as the best quarterback in college football.
Dude, there's no way Buckner was not 6'4", 215. There's no damn way Buckner was that big. I was standing. There's no way. There's no way.
I'm saying Leonard 6'2" is what I thought. And 215. Yeah, that's what
No. I've seen nowhere that had him at 6'2".
They're very similar.
Nowhere had him at 6'2". I thought he was like 6'4", 220, like a big dude. No way. Let me tell you this.
I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Here's what I want. I want to be done with these Porto guys, man. Make what makes sense?
On why, if you brought in Leonard to be a remedy for your quarterback this year, but he's showing that he's not going to be counted on.
Well, they weren't. They weren't counting on the injuries. What do you want, Notre Dame to have a crystal ball and to know he was going to get hurt again? They couldn't control that.
Well, what I'm saying is, I would have never brought the guy in to begin with because I don't believe that he is hands down better than Angeli, and we can even, I guess, we'll say Minchie. Everybody gives him a lot of praise. Maybe he is as good as what people say. Maybe he's not. We don't know because, again, the last 4 games of last season, when the head coach had the opportunity to play, he had plenty of opportunity to play both Minchie and Carr. Those after they lost to Clemson, right? They still had you had Stanford, you had a couple other games.
Yeah. Yep.
And you don't play those guys.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that because I in my mind the year was over and ruined and nothing else mattered anyways. But I understand from Freeman and the coaching staff's mind, they're saying we can't afford to let this year spiral any more out of control. We cannot take any risks. Yes, the offense is flawed. Yes, Hartman's flawed, but we know what those flaws are. We're going to try and navigate it. That's the way they looked at it. In my frustration, I would have wanted to see one of the younger guys, but that was just me and my frustration. I admit that.
Well, that's the wrong way. That's the wrong way to look at it. And as a coach, Freeman knows that they aren't going to axe him. Like I said, he can win 8 games. He ain't drawing no heat from the administration.
Can I ask you a question? You asked me a question. Let me ask you a question. You always want me to hold Freeman accountable. You say nobody holds him accountable. What does accountability mean to you in that framework? What does that mean when you say we don't hold him accountable? What would accountability look like according to Commander Luke?
For me, that would mean acknowledging mistakes. Acknowledging
Dude, you've watched me turn purple yelling about the Ohio State mistakes. What do you mean?
Yes, but where does all that end up getting channeled into? The assistants, the assistant coaches, the administration, whatever else. And I just don't feel like, and listen, I don't hate Marcus Freeman as a human being. I don't prefer his style and his demeanor as the head coach. I personally don't like that. He reminds me a lot of Bob Davie. Now this new defensive coordinator we got, again, Notre Dame's not going to go and hire another first-year defensive coordinator. I don't think after what's happened here with Freeman. But that would be my accountability is first off acknowledge the mistakes. I don't have a say. I can't tell. Obviously none of us can tell Marcus Freeman. Hey, you've screwed up here or there. I'm sure he knows all that. But again, just going back to his logic, like this transfer quarterback with Leonard and Leonard not being reliable, and you're going to roll with that. That tells me something about his logic, how his brain thinks and processes things.
I want us to be done with this. Hopefully, man, I really, really want Notre Dame to be able to hitch their wagon to a younger guy that we know is going to be around, that can develop around the team. But it's got to be the right one. And I'm ready to be done with this rotation.
we should have gotten that started the last 4 games of last year. We missed that opportunity. So, and now we're going to put a Band-Aid on it in the form of Riley Leonard.
Well, we'll see.
Isn't trusted.
Well, we'll see, man. And if he does not, August is going to be really interesting, man. In whether he rolls into camp completely out there or not, how they navigate that quarterback thing with the weird spring they've had is my number one note of interest when they rejoin in August.
Well, I'm not even convinced that the injury is as anywhere close to, I'm going off what I'm being told, but at the same time, like I've said before too, I don't know that Marcus Freeman just didn't set this whole thing up and just keep Leonard out of the spring game. And then when fall comes, hey, we'll just throw him in there at quarterback, and nobody can say, well, Leonard outplayed, Minchie in the spring, or right. Nobody can say Minchie outplayed, Leonard, and so you're kind of protecting him again, Leonard, and he's just being handed the job, and nobody will know. We see a couple clips of him throwing in practice. And,
Nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. It's always nuanced. There's always gray area. You're here a lot. Everything with Notre Dame's a debatable gray area, and this is going to be no different, man. So I don't know. Hey, listen, to be honest with you, though, man, I'm glad your surgery went okay. You sound in good spirits. You've been in a good mood since then. I'm glad it went well for you. Congrats.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
I mean that too. Seriously, I'm glad you're okay. And I'm glad it means a lot to me that you were thinking of us before you went in for that, man. All that shit matters to me. I'm weird like that. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Hey, man.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
We all want the same thing.
Yeah, thanks for the call, man. Get in the mix more often instead of just chatting. Call me more often and debate stuff. It'd be good entertainment for the people. Call me more often when you disagree, will you?
I'll do that. I'd like to see some of these other guys crying belly. There's been a few over there.
Yeah, I want them. I'd love for them to give me a call.
People have requested them. Yeah. All right. Thanks, John.
Have a good one, buddy. Enjoy the weekend. Take care.
Yep.
I mean, he wasn't that mean. Like for all the crap he gives me, the commander, he wasn't that mean or disrespectful or anything. It was fine. Yeah, come to the tailgate, 219. You're in Indiana. Commander, tailgate. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, boy. It said, was Luke close to shedding a tear? I did feel like I held him up there when I asked that question and brought up that surgery thing. I did feel like he kind of froze up a little bit. I'm glad he's okay, and I'm glad he's with us. And I'm glad that he thought of us before he had to go into this surgery. I'm not kidding. That does matter to me. I'm not sure that when I'm getting ready to go into surgery that I would think of my football YouTube circle or whatever. I'm glad he did. Oh, boy. Oh, all right, you guys. That's going to be it. I need a little break I just need a little break. I need to let my brains decompress. Maybe we'll go live tomorrow night or not. I have some other things I need to do. Maybe we will. Stay tuned on that. I'll let you guys know on Twitter and in the chat thing of where you can enter the text on YouTube and let you know, night show maybe tomorrow night. Let's see how things go. Maybe we'll do that. I'll fire it up. I'll let you know. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for the donation. Thank you very much. Enjoy the Masters. Have a good one.